The countdown on my screen showed 4 minutes, and every ship around mine was pointed at a single, unarmed human vessel, drifting closer to our border without slowing down. My name is Daniel Voss, and I was the communications officer on board the Ashari border station when this happened. I still remember the silence in that control room. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed too loudly. We had all read the file on humans, but reading a file and watching one of their ships glide toward you like it owns the space it is moving through are two very different things. 3 cycles earlier, our council had received a report from a species called humans. The report said they were new to space travel, disorganized, and easy to manage. My commander, a tall Ashari officer named Renlo Vask, laughed when he read it out loud to the crew. He said humans were nothing to worry about, that they would beg for a trade deal the moment we showed strength. I did not laugh with him. I had listened to old recordings of human broadcasts for months as part of my training, and something about their voices unsettled me. They spoke like people who had already survived worse than us. That morning, 5 human ships entered a system we considered ours. They did not ask permission. They simply arrived, scanned the area, and sent one message. The message said they were looking for a missing exploration crew that had lost contact 3 days earlier near our border. They wanted our help. Renlo refused to answer them directly. Instead, he ordered our fleet to form a blockade and told me to send a warning, telling them to leave immediately or be treated as trespassers. I sent the warning. The human ships did not turn around. One of them, smaller than the rest, kept moving straight toward our station. Renlo ordered weapons online. I remember my hands shaking as I confirmed the order on my console. I had never fired on anyone in my life, and I did not want that ship to be the first. Then something strange happened. The human ship stopped exactly at the edge of our weapons range, not a single meter closer, and opened a channel. A woman's voice came through, calm and steady, with no fear in it at all. She said her name was Grace Whitmore, and she was the captain of the search team looking for 6 missing explorers. She said her people did not want conflict. She said if we had seen or captured any of the missing explorers, all she wanted was information. She said this 3 times, patiently, as if she expected us to eventually understand that she meant every word. Renlo told her we had nothing to do with any missing humans, and ordered her to leave our territory at once. She asked one more question. She asked if we would allow a short scan of the debris field near the border, since her sensors had picked up wreckage there. Renlo refused again. He said the debris field belonged to us and no outsider would be allowed near it. There was a pause on the line. It lasted only a few seconds, but it felt much longer. Grace Whitmore said something I will never forget. She said, calmly, that her ship had already scanned the debris field from a distance and detected human life signs among the wreckage. Weak, but alive. She said she was not asking permission anymore. She was informing us that her ship was moving in to retrieve her people, and she hoped we would not make her regret giving us a chance to help first. Renlo screamed at me to fire. I did not fire. My finger froze over the console because something told me, with absolute certainty, that firing on that ship would be the last mistake any of us ever made. Renlo grabbed the console from me, furious, and pressed the command himself. Every weapon on our station fired at once toward the human ship. Every single shot missed. I want to explain what happened next as clearly as I can, because even now, it is hard to believe. The human ship did not dodge in a way any of our pilots had ever seen. It moved like it already knew where every shot was going before we fired it. Later, when I studied the recordings, I understood why. Their ship had been quietly mapping our weapon systems from the moment it entered our system, calculating our firing patterns, predicting our exact timing down to the smallest fraction of a second. They had been ready for this before we even gave the order. The ship reached the debris field in under a minute. Grace Whitmore's voice returned on the channel, still calm, still steady, as if nothing had happened at all. She said her team had found 4 survivors and were extracting them safely. She said she understood we were frightened and confused, and that fear sometimes made people do things they would later regret. She said her people did not hold grudges over fear, but she also said something that made every officer on our station go silent. She said the next time a human ship crossed into contested space searching for missing crew, and someone on our side gave the order to fire first, her people would stop being patient. Renlo did not respond. He could not. His hands were trembling on the console, and for the first time since I had known him, he looked like a man who understood he had almost gotten every person under his command killed over a decision that cost him nothing to avoid. The human ships left peacefully once the survivors were recovered. No further shots were fired. No demands were made. They simply returned to their own space, quietly, without a single threat spoken aloud. Word of the incident spread through our fleet channels within hours. Other commanders wanted to know how a single unarmed search vessel had avoided every shot fired by an entire border station. Nobody had an answer that satisfied them, because the truth was almost impossible to accept. The humans had not used superior weapons. They had used patience, observation, and precision, 3 things our own council had dismissed as weaknesses in their original report. I requested a transfer off Renlo's command within the same week. Not because I feared him, but because I no longer trusted the judgment of leaders who mistook caution for weakness. I wanted to serve somewhere that took the warning about humans seriously, even if nobody else in our fleet was ready to admit that the warning had been correct from the very beginning. 2 months later, I was assigned to a new listening post near neutral space, monitoring communications between several species who had recently established contact with humans. What I heard changed everything I believed about them. A trade envoy from a species called the Dorith had tried something similar to what Renlo attempted, blocking a human supply convoy over a territorial dispute nobody outside their council even understood. The humans did not fire a single shot in that encounter either. Instead, they waited outside Dorith space for 6 days, patiently, without aggression, until the Dorith Council agreed to a neutral third-party review of the dispute. The review found in favor of the humans. The Dorith were forced to open a trade corridor they had spent years trying to keep closed, and they lost nothing but pride in the process, because the humans had never threatened them at all. They had simply refused to leave until the truth came out. Another recording described a rescue mission near a mining colony that had lost contact during an unexpected system failure. A human medical ship arrived within hours, uninvited, and began evacuating survivors without waiting for permission from local authorities, who were still arguing over jurisdiction. When questioned afterward about entering restricted space without clearance, the human captain gave a short answer that spread through every fleet channel within a day. She said people were dying, and paperwork could wait. I began to understand something about humans that our original report had completely missed. They were not dangerous because they were aggressive. They were dangerous because they refused to be stopped by fear, and they refused to let anyone convince them that patience was the same thing as weakness. Every time another species tested them with threats or blockades, the humans responded the same way, calm, precise, and unwilling to back down from doing what they believed was right. 6 months after the incident at our border station, our council finally issued a new classification for humans, replacing the outdated report that had called them disorganized and easy to manage. The new classification said humans should never be tested through force, because their response to force was not retreat but resolve. It said any species considering conflict with humans should remember one simple fact. Humans did not seek war, but they never once ran from consequences, and they never forgot who caused them. I still think about that 4-minute countdown sometimes, the one that started this whole story for me. I think about how close Renlo came to starting something none of us could have stopped, all because he underestimated a woman who asked politely 3 times before she stopped asking at all. Grace Whitmore's ship left our system without a single threat spoken, and without a single shot returned. She did not need to make one. She had already shown us everything we needed to know about the species we had almost gone to war with, over a simple request for help. The galaxy had been warned about humans long before that day. Most of us chose to ignore it. I was one of the lucky ones who learned the truth in time, standing frozen at a console, watching a single unarmed ship prove an entire fleet wrong, without firing a single shot in return.